1, 2, 3. I wanna be a part of it. I wanna sing along. The feeling when the windscreen wipers line up with a song. For my stupid rituals, everything is cyclical. Hold on to this feeling, 'cause you won't feel it for long. You won't feel it for long. I don't know what's right anymore. I don't wanna fight anymore. Sitting in the backseat, driving with my sunshine. Baby, when I've gone a little crazy, surely someone's gonna save me now. I miss my dog and I miss falling in love. I miss the feeling that you get when someone feels just like a glove. I can't help but question it. This isn't helping. Putting off the end, 'cause in the end it always does. In the end it always does. I don't know what's right anymore. I don't wanna fight anymore. Sitting in the backseat, driving with my sunshine. Baby, when I've gone a little crazy, surely someone's gonna save me. Now we're right where we are. I don't wanna fight. Surely someone's gonna sitting by the seafront, lying with my sunshine. Baby, when I've gone a little crazy, surely someone's gonna save me now. Backseat, driving with my sunshine. Baby, when I've gone a little crazy, surely someone's gonna sitting in the backseat, driving with my sunshine. Baby, when I've gone a little crazy, surely someone's gonna. I don't know what's right anymore. Driving with my sunshine. I don't wanna fight anymore. Crazy, surely someone's gonna. Sitting in the backseat, driving with my sunshine. Baby, when I've gone a little crazy, surely someone's gonna save me now. There's a magpie in my tree, shining like he's trying to warn me. I don't know what he's talking about. When I look upon myself, I don't see the same thing I saw a year ago or two. We just knew you seem to love me more when other people are around. If there's something it just happens. It's never my intention at all. Yes, I can still hear you. I just wasn't paying attention, baby. Yeah, I can take a look more of the blame. Did I mention that I've been thinking about other people go around in circles? It's probably not that deep, but I'm just playing this silly little game. One, two, three, and I could have been somebody else, but I'm still out looking for me. It doesn't matter what I tell myself. For a moment there I swear I saw me. I went to meet somebody new, changed beneath the evening light, and she held me kinda like you do. I hope you know I could have been somebody who you wanted to have around to hold. Should've jumped when you told me to. I wanna change, but it's nothing new. And if I grow, I'm gonna get so old. Will you hold me like you always do? I could have been somebody else, but I'm still out looking for me. I go ahead and try to chase myself, find someone that might restore me. I could have been somebody new, and I'm talking to myself again, but don't know who I'm talking to. I think it's you. I could have been somebody who you wanted to have around to hold. I should've jumped when you told me to. I wanna change, but it's nothing new. And if I grow, I'm gonna get so old. Will you hold me like you always do? I could have been somebody who you wanted to have around to hold. I should've jumped when you told me to. I wanna change, but it's nothing new. And if I grow, I'm gonna get so old. Will you hold me like you always do?
Hello, friends. My name is Mac Wilson from The Current from Minnesota Public Radio, and I am joined today by Amber Bain of The Japanese House. Hello, Amber.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks again for coming in today. You're playing at the Fine Line, and you brought your band in, played some songs in the studio, and you also brought another special guest, as we can see down here.
My
Who is
gorgeous
this
dog.
wonderful lady?
This is Joni Jones, the original Joni Jones. She's my little dachshund dog. She's really under her blanket right now, but she's come on tour with us for like 5 weeks, which has been interesting. But I think she's had a great time. But yeah, one of the songs on the album is kind of dedicated to her.
So I'm a dachshund owner as well, and my dachshund is not as well behaved as this. And it got me thinking about the ways that what dog owners need to do. There's sort of an inherent patience that you need to have, especially with a dachshund, that I don't even know if I have necessarily. And we've been chatting beforehand about how you got blessed with a wonderful dog, but you're clearly doing something right with just your attitude and your training towards the dog. I guess in these last couple of years, as difficult as life has been, you've clearly been doing something right. So I guess that sense of mindfulness, how have you brought that to the rest of your interactions with other people?
Yeah, she's really definitely taught me patience. Because they're so stubborn. So like sometimes she'll be a little angel, and sometimes she'll be quite difficult. But she never does anything too bad. But I just feel like, well, when I was writing this album and finishing the album, I was in this like weird place of my relationship was ending, but I was also coming towards like this other, like going back to my creativity, which I felt like I'd lost partially during the pandemic and moving out of the city. And so I was in this kind of like really unstable place between these two very different feelings. And she was kind of like a constant throughout that. Like every single day when I was at the studio, even if I'd just had an argument with my ex, or I'd just had the high of finishing another song, or I still had to like walk her every single day. And that kind of routine is hard to find, especially if you're a musician, you're on tour and you're writing whatever. So having a constant is really important, and also just something that you have to look after, no matter how like you're feeling or what you're doing. You have to be there for this other being. So yeah.
Even thinking about the dogs that we have, where no matter what's going on in your life, sometimes they're going to cry at 5 a.m. and you have to take them out. Like that's a constant, and it's a very grounding thing at the same time.
And like in the song I wrote that we played, One for Sorrow, Two for Joni Jones, it's One for Sorrow. There's like a magpie thing. It's like, I don't know if they have it in the States, but in England there's this rhyme. It's like 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy. And the first bit of the song is talking about how there's this magpie. There was at the time this magpie that was always like singing, if you can call it that, outside my window. So I was like 1 for sorrow and then 2 for Joni Jones, instead of, because she's my joy. And I think like going through like a extreme change in your life, like a breakup or moving countries, as like I just have done, having her has just like grounded me in a way that I don't think many other things could have done.
I've noticed many other musicians use the metaphor of the magpie, and they're not really prevalent here in Minnesota.
Yeah, no,
so it's got to be like, is it an English or European thing? Like I don't know what their usual habitat
There are
is.
other magpies, but they don't look the same. I don't know. The English magpie is sort of black and white bird, and they're like notorious for stealing shiny objects. And they have like a very distinct, I personally think, very annoying bird song. I can't really do an impression of it. It almost sounds like if a bird was doing an impression of like a dolphin. It's like that kind of thing.
Well, that was pretty good.
Thank you. But yeah, they're not my favorite bird, but now I quite like them.
So you mentioned that the new record was written in the wake of a breakup, sort of concurrently, or whether in the aftermath of it. I remember I was reading a quote from John Prine back in the day where he went through a divorce, and he said, well, that means that the song truck backed up at my house and dumped out a whole bunch of new songs. Was that sort of how it went for you, or did it happen more concurrently?
Well, it was, some of the songs I started kind of when I was still in the stage of having like hope for the relationship and wanting it to carry on, and then I actually finished them after we'd broken up. So like Sunshine Baby, I think the chorus is actually like a chorus of like hope, and like hope that something can be fixed, and then the verses are kind of an acceptance that it's ended. So it was a weird experience to sort of like write these songs alongside my relationship ending. And some of them are, I think the last song I wrote, well, actually, even the poem, I started One for Sorrow, Two for Joni Jones with a poem, and we were still together at that point. So that was kind of like, for me and my ex, probably quite like a difficult thing, because we were still together when I was writing these songs. And often I feel like when you write songs, probably because they're coming from such a deep part of your subconscious, that they end up being prophetic in some way, and they end up kind of like telling you the truth that you didn't really want to know, or at least for me, that's usually what happens.
So is this a case now where you listen back to your full-length record and you go, oh, well, this seems obvious in retrospect that all the clues were there. Is it a case like that? Yeah,
definitely. And yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe like I wrote that song while we were still together. Or it's not all about a breakup. There's other stuff going on in there. There's like themes of gender searching and gender confusion, and then there's also like songs that kind of encapsulate the spark of like an initial relationship, like the spark when you're initially in a relationship, like Touching Yourself. But yeah, it's definitely one of those ones where I'm just kind of can't really believe that I didn't see it fully at the time, if you know what I mean.
You talked about the ideas of gender as one of the themes of the record. And I was reading an interview with you where you said that you're coming. I don't remember the exact terminology you used, where you said you're sort of on the verge of maybe identifying as non-binary while still using she/her pronouns, to the point where I almost felt presumptuous. Like should I have asked for your pronouns before beginning the interview?
I mean, I personally, I use whatever pronouns really. I don't really mind. I'm still figuring it all out. I haven't really come to a final decision on like what my gender is, and I think maybe that is my answer. Is that it's kind of fluid, and it changes. Like some days I'll feel like I'm a girl, and then sometimes I'll feel like I'm a guy, and then sometimes I'll feel like I'm nothing, or both. So I don't know, and I think my understanding of it for myself is that I don't think I need to come to a conclusion, and my conclusion is that I'm just changing all the time, and I think for me accepting that has been the most powerful thing.
You mentioned earlier too that you made a move, that you're currently based out of Detroit now. So what was the impetus for moving to Detroit?
I moved for love, obviously. My girlfriend lives in Detroit, so I moved because I can luckily live over there. Me and Joni now are in the Midwest.
The Japanese house in the Midwest. Well, I feel like I could just want to ask about dogs the entire day, but I mean, we're definitely this is a one-of-a-kind situation. Like, I don't remember the last time that I had a pet dog, let alone a dachshund, in the studio with us. So, Amber, thank you again for stopping by today.
No,
it was wonderful
so
to have you in, to bring your band and your pup
the star of the show.
The star of the show. Thank you again,
Thanks
and best
so much.
of luck on the rest of your tour.
Thanks.
Thank you.
The Current is public media made possible thanks to member support.